edition of the New Delhi World Book Fair. I am Kumar Vikram. I am senior editor at National Book Trust India, and I also look after the international outreach programs of the trust. And today is the last day of the virtual book fair, and it's a I think it's a very important and very significant aspect of the entire discourse that we are taking forward during the last 4 days. That is the discussion about promotion of Indian culture abroad, and especially by by the individuals, the Indians who are based in abroad, and who are in their own way making a significant impact, and very, I would say, very subtle but very visible changes they may be able to be bringing out in their areas of work. We are very you know privileged to have two panelists here, and our director, Mr. Yuvraj Malik, and the panelists are Ms. Bhavana Pradyumna, and she is an accomplished Carnatic musician and a Bharatanatyam dancer, and she founded the Carnatic Conservatory of Paris. She is based in Paris, and along with her husband Pradyumna Kandadai, she introduced Indian music and dance in a French conservatory for the very first time, thus creating history. Bhavna has rendered many concerts in the last 20 years in India, USA, and Europe, being an All India radio artist entitled Ramanuja Paduka Sevaka for her contribution in the field of Carnatic music. She is also the author of revolutionary learning book for children called Children's Carnatic, published in 3 international languages and 5 Indian languages. Welcome, Ms. Bhavna, and it is indeed a pleasure to uh, meet you again, though online. And we had a very long conversation in Paris last year, but and maybe we would be able to follow up on the discussions that we had. Welcome to this program. We have Nupur Tron. She is the founder of Foundation Frisson Hota. She is also the creator of Hotte Jewelry Nupur Paris. She has been working extensively in the field of heritage and culture, and is a consultant in luxury lifestyle art and the weaver. Nuputron incarnates the image of a young modern Indian woman living in Europe for
Right.
2010 as an example of a young masters in architecture and restoration. And we would be happy to take forward the discussions that we had. Director, Mr. Yuvraj Malik, and it's very interesting that both I and the director I would say the no, the aspects of promoting Indian culture.
Vikram ji, there is some problem in your network. I'll request you either to change the
pavilion or come to the neighboring pavilion so that we can speak, communicate better. Meanwhile, you switch your location. I welcome Nupur ji from Belgium and Nupur Bhavana ji. I'll welcome you once again from Paris. Am I right? So,
Yes, thank
as
you, sir.
Vikram has told, it was my pleasure to meet both the wonderful ladies and the representative of the country in Paris in last Indian Diaspora meet before the World Book Fair.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, the event could not be organized due to COVID circumstances, but we are really looking forward in May again to have this event coming up in a big way, I mean, with more, magnanimity and scale. So
definitely.
the theme of the event, what we thought we should discuss with you. First of all, the question arises why two ladies and a male. I'm not the participant. I am rather more a moderator. So I feel these two women are symbol of women empowerment. We have celebrated Women's Day. Both of you, I can see Nupuji's background. I can see some Indian artifacts, if I'm not wrong. So that what speaks what Indian culture is all about. You can't take it off from your life. You cannot take your culture out of yourself.
Very
Somewhere it goes with you, tag along. And on the other side, I have a beautifully clad sari with a beautiful woman and a woman of substance, Bhavana ji. She is truly representing Indian culture, value system, and the enigma of an Indian woman. So I congratulate both of you for carrying the legacy of Indian culture and civilization, not only in India and across the world, wherever you could do it. So coming back to the core issues of the discussion today, if you see the scale of the Indian diaspora, I believe it is one of the largest in the world. And no country in the world can anymore think of ignoring the strength of Indian diaspora. Let us example, if you see more than 250 professionals in different capacities have been selected in Joe Biden administration. That means we have been able to touch the culture of the other country wherever we have gone. Unless and until you are able to integrate your culture with the international culture, you cannot rise into diverse ecosystem.
very
So
true.
similarly, when I came to Paris, I saw the way Bhamnaji is connected, the way Nupurji could put things in order. It was a wonderful treat to see that Indians and Indian diaspora has taken their message all over the world and tried to nourish them, cultivate them, propagate them in whatever capacity, institutionally, individually, socially, culturally, politically, and administratively. All kind of synthesis has taken place, and the impact is that today we are considered as a very rich culture society. No, who can deny that we have a civilization of more than 5,000 year old? Who can deny that we have a culture of the epics and mythology and great literature content? No one can deny it. We have Nalanda Takshila, the global knowledge center in the world. Our knowledge system and our
Yes,
value system is what the world looks up to us. I will take back around 120 years or so. In 1893, there was a small speech in Chicago on 11th September by Swami Vivekananda. He just spoke for barely 5 to 7 seconds and two words, my dear brothers and sisters of America. And there was 2 minutes of clapping. If two words can generate 2 minutes of clapping, that is the power of content, that is the power of culture, and that is the power of Indian knowledge system and Indian value system. So I want to put this both the narrative together now. Wherever you are, Bhavnaji, wherever Nupurji is there, where I go, wherever we go, we are not only as individual who travel, we travel with the ecosystem, we travel as stamping of a country, we travel with an identity of a nationhood, we travel an identity of a culture. So people try to identify yourself with that culture and to uphold the majesty of that culture is our responsibility. Swami Vivekananda in 1893, as brand ambassador of Indian value system and knowledge system, told the world what India is all about. On the same scale, like Bhavanaji has told in Paris, what is Indian art and music? Our domain is very specific. Nupurji has told what is the importance of architecture and designing. If I speak in Hindi, ये जो ज्वेलरी लोग पहनते हैं, जो आप कर रहे हैं, ये सब कहाँ से कट कॉपी पेस्ट कंट्रोल भी आया, कहाँ से आया? This is all Indian genesis. So whatever domain we have, our culture is so diverse. If you pick up one leaf, it will take days to speak on that. So coming back to the issue of the thing, idea is how we can take our culture and how we can connect our diaspora with that. Every human being who has gone and settled himself has done something outstanding and has got something outstanding in them, where they can pay back to their motherland, where they can pay back to the mother, and where they can pay back to the culture. So nourishment is not a 1 minute job or one seminar job or one event management job. It is a continuous process. So today I will expect both my experienced panelists to share views how we can achieve collaboration in cultural propagation, how we can achieve cooperation, how we can find jointness, how can we find synergy, how we can put collective effort, and we as the knowledge partner of the country has an important role to take the message all over the world. Today, Yoga Day is celebrated. 185 countries within a span of 90 days approved the resolution in UN. What is this? This is our culture.
Yes.
Why do all the foreigners come to India? They want to know what is spirituality. They come to India to see what is spirituality. Nobody knows that we have 35 countries under one umbrella and staying in democracy. Many of the visitors come to see what is democracy. They come to India. They want to see the colors of India. They want to see the different dialects of India. They would come to here to see the variety of foods we have in India. They come to see the variety of architecture we have in India. They come to see the variety of, the family system we have in India, the kind of dresses we have in India, the kind of art, music, culture, history, geography, nature. Look, the list is endless. So I leave the discussion open to Vikram and take it on. And today we should come up with some conclusive ideas. And NVT as knowledge partner is willing to take the message of both my brand ambassador wherever required through publication.
Thank you, sir. The idea of promotion of Indian culture abroad is integrally related to our work, what we do at National Book Trust. Of course, we are we have a specialized role in the promotion of Indian books as a kind of a part of Indian culture. And it is indeed our privilege that Ms. Bhavana is here with us, who is not only an accomplished Carnatic music exponent, but also an author who has been able to come out with some interesting titles for children and introducing them to this Carnatic music world. I would first request Ms. Bhavu to share her experiences of being placed in Paris and working in this arena, and how it all started, and then to provide us perspectives on the topic. Ms. Bhavu.
Namaste. Thank you, Vikram sir. Thank you, Yuvraj sir, for inviting me today as a panelist here for the World Book Fair. It's an honor to be here, and Nupur ji, thank you so much for. It's an honor to share the stage with you. So I have lived in the US for 4 years. Indian diaspora in the US is completely different. They are the knowledge workers who have lived there for 2 decades, or two or three more generations have already lived there, and they're quite affluent, and they are very much interested in promoting Indian arts and music, and they're ready to invest. And that there are a lot of temples which are promoting the Indian culture and music, and there are universities which are already established and as part of academia, and are also a range of study and books that are published. There's a lot happening in the US diaspora when you talk about Indian diaspora. But the scenario in Europe is completely different. I think post World War II, specific efforts were made to fade hyper-nationalist feelings and build an open border culture promoting peace and prosperity in Europe. And so in that case, when there is of Indian culture or music or tradition that is being put forth, there is a lot of hindrance in the beginning, and it's not easy to open up the mindsets of the people to welcome a different culture. So the more what we see is like being in France, especially French culture, French traditions, French cuisine, French art, history, everything has they own and they feel a lot of pride and welcoming a different culture altogether was definitely challenging. But the other aspect of what I have learned is as well, French, whoever has invested in understanding India or Indian culture or music, have spent many years together in India to learn and understand the Indian culture and traditions. So it also proves that they are open to Indian music. And I think Indian culture in itself has that power to attract people. So the scope to promote Indian culture as well should always be looked in the context of a country or geography we are based out of. Indian diaspora has retained the identity even after leaving the country like hundreds of years ago. It's evident in the South African and the West Indian islands. So one of the things that we have realized after coming to Europe and to contribute to the welfare and positivity of the European society is once when we bring them in touch with the sweetness of Indian culture, people will just fall in love with that, will love with the culture, and they will embrace Indian culture. So, and what is also important is to create more and more platforms where high quality cultural programs and initiatives can be showcased, can be brought about. And in this regard, with the high spirit effort, Carnatic Conservatory of Paris, it has a French name as well, Conservatoire Carnatic de Paris, because we believe in building that bridge between India and France and being the cultural ambassadors, connecting the bridges, connecting the borders. So through this, we have started organizing many events, me and my husband. So we organize Tyagaraja Aradhana, and we organize Nritya Nada, wherein there is dance event with live music, which is like quite rare now. But we are making an effort, sincere effort, to bring the live music culture to Paris scenario, the France scenario. And there is also one more thing that we realized. Getting a visa is not easy to Europe, and it's very short-lived, short duration. And for touring artists, it becomes extremely difficult to look for a platform to come and perform and showcase their talent and otherwise also promote Indian culture in the outside India. So we started organizing Sanatana event, wherein we would present the entire event in Sanskrit and French. So the entire event would be spoken in Sanskrit and French. So we have Akshara Foundation from India who are helping us to translate the material to Sanskrit, and I would be presenting the event in Sanskrit. We want to bring the Sanatana, which is the uniqueness of India, the ancient India, to the French borders, the France geography. So as well as along with this, so as we already mentioned, we have also started teaching Carnatic music, dance, and weaving instrument in a French conservatory. So the kids would be going to the conservatory every Wednesday to be learning, and they sign up to learn Indian arts and music to understand the of this. With respect to this, we started publishing books so that people beyond boundaries and beyond language barriers can understand what India is, what Indian culture is. There is so much of storytelling. So this is one of the first kinds in this book, Children's Carnatic. We can see introduction of music and dance through storytelling with beautiful illustrations. And as we see, all the books that we have are very theory based, and one book which can sustain for 4 to 5 years. But these short storied books can connect the readers, and it's like story books which a parent can read to a child. It's not like a textbook, but rather storybook wherein a parent and a child can interact, or a grandparent and a child can interact. So these are few of the initiatives through Karnataka Cancer Press. And along with this, one more thing that I would also like to add is Bhagavad Gita Doodles, that is being released every Monday under the high patronage of Indian Embassy France and ICCR. So it's every Monday, the 5,000-year-old scriptures, how they are irrelevant even to this present day generation. The life lessons of Krishna, how they can be related to the present generation, is what something that I'm bringing through doodle videos. And Sanskrit dictionary is one of the first kinds of dictionary in the world. It's being brought to doodle videos by my 8-year-old son. So he's creating these doodle videos explaining what Sanskrit is and the language, along with pictures and descriptions, both in English and French. So both Bhagavad Gita doodle videos and Amarakosha, which is the Sanskrit dictionary, are released in both English and French. So these are few of the initiatives that we have started. Definitely, it's not an easy journey. In the last 6 years, it's been 6 years since I'm living in Paris, and it's been a constant effort. Every minute, every day has been dedicated in promoting Indian music and dance in Paris. And I think Government of India, ICCR, Embassy is equally supporting our projects, and we are very thankful for this. I think there's definitely a lot of scope as well to make this reach more conservatories, more to take this to more people.
Thank you. Thanks indeed, for giving us that fascinating, journey into all that you have been doing for years, promoting in culture, and see the complexities. It's about promoting the ancient culture in a modern setup, and then there is also the dynamics of language, the dynamics of cross culture, and
Yes.
then you also have to get into the digital dissemination and how these things interact with each other. I will come back to. I've got some questions, but I will now move on to our next panelist, and then we can have a consolidated question answer session. That's Nupur Tron, because I'm when we had this meeting last year. I mean, you deal into entirely different arena, and of culture and heritage and architecture, and trying to locate the Indian motifs which are present in some of the European architecture, and how you preserve and how you promote them. And we do not realize that it's not only in music, it's not only in dance, it's not only in literature and poetry, but there are so many layers and layers upon layers in which the way the cultures have interacted over a period of time. And so in that context, I would request Nupurji to give us an overview of her journey, how it has all started, and what really sort of motivated you to get into this realm, and how this can be taken forward and projected through institutions. We are not able to hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, great. So, namaskar, and thank you so much. I'm most humbled to share this panel with all of you and share my passionate story of India. As my friends and family say, you can take the girl out of India, but not India out of the girl. And this journey started many years ago, actually. I left India when I was 16, and then I traveled across America and Europe. And I was in Paris for about 11 years, and now in Belgium, in Brussels. I created Foundation Friso Horta in 2018. And it's quite a fascinating journey how the house found me, as we believe in destiny. And what is fascinating is that how little the West knows about India. And this is something which has been an ongoing journey for me with the foundation, is to tell the story of India and through an Indian pair of eyes, through an Indian, because every time there is colonial history, the true essence and history of the country sort of disperses with time, and we don't really know the story of the country. And in the textbook, in the history books here in Europe, it's fascinating and astonishing. There is not a chapter of India that is there. So people don't really know our story. It seems we come from another planet, as Yuvraj very much said, and I so well resonate with what he was saying, that it's like a whole universe within a universe. We have so many diversity of culture, of religion, and that's what makes us very unique. So it's very different for the Europeans and for the Western society to understand if it is not even presented at the school textbook level. Whereas in India, we studied the history of the world. So no matter where the Indians are outside, they are very easily, they adapt with a different culture and country. And the fact of creating this foundation was to really share the story of India with various multidisciplinary institutions and museums. And in Art Nouveau, which was a period in the end of 18th and early 19th century, India influenced Europe extensively. I mean, starting with, as Yuvraj was quoting Swami Vivekananda going to America and how he influenced the civil rights movement in America, talking about the philosophy and the deep culture and teachings of India. Similarly, with the East India Company, the British got a lot of goods from India, the miniature paintings, the jewels, the textiles, but Europe didn't know where it was coming from. And then started the art and craft movement in England, in Glasgow, with William Morrison. And if you go to V&A Museum in London, you see massive collections of India. But Europeans generally don't know what is the origin and where it's coming from. So India has been the missing link in architecture, in design, in textiles, in jewelry, in a lot of artistic art de vie, a lifestyle. And for me, it became an evidence because when I saw the house, when I saw the murals and the fresque, it reminded me of Rajasthan, where my father is from. It reminded me of Calcutta, where my mother is from. The colonial architecture, the work of teak wood, which Victor Horta was heavily influenced by because he saw his first exposition and also the Universal Exposition in the Crystal Palace in London, and lots of goods were coming from India at that time, which flourished the art and craft movement. So there is a lot of missing link, and I think, India was such an evidence, and how is it possible that nobody had, portrayed India in this development of Art Nouveau movement in Europe. So we do a lot of cultural activity. We work with the Musique Conservatoire in Belgium. We work with the Opera House. We work with Palais de Beaux-Arts, with the Royal Museum of Beaux-Arts in Brussels. I give a lot of conference, trying to create this bridge, which is the foundation. It's become a platform for workshop, for studying, for creative arts, for music, for dance. And we invite people from India who can give a talk, who can give workshops. For example, William Dalrymple, who knows this subject so well on the 18th, 19th century, and the influence of East on West and West on East. Because I think this is very important for the youth and for the children of India to know how our culture has influenced the Western society. Me being here outside India, I see it in so many different platforms, in music, in gastronomy, in fashion, in contemporary dance, in all sorts of art form, how it's omnipresent. So for me, it has become my truly, it's a passion that I share with people here, and it's amazing how curious they are to know India. They just don't know where to start. So I think it's very important for institutions like ICCR and the government of India to support us, because at the moment we are doing it all privately with our own resources. But the work we do is at a very international, global level, creating this organic bridge between East and West and inviting people from various multidisciplinaries to talk, to represent, and to present their art forms, which becomes very interesting to the people here in Europe.
Thank you. That's a gives a very fascinating account of how India is present in some of these some of the architectural spheres of Europe, which we may not be knowing, and in fact, which even Europeans may not be aware of.
Absolutely. And, you know, as I'm studying now, I'm doing my master's in architecture and restoration. It's fascinating that the academic crowd and the academians also don't know much about how the influence has been. For example, you know, there are a lot of influence of Japonism, of Japanese culture in Art Nouveau. And when I see it, it's an evidence for me to see the influence of the architecture and designs coming from the temples of India, from the textiles of India, from all the miniature paintings from the Mughal and the Ottoman Empire. So for me, it's an evidence, and that's why I'm writing papers. And my second book is going to be a much more scientific research on the connection and the inspiration that India had on the Western society from the 18th till the 20th century.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to come back to Ms. Bhavana, and I would like to know, when you are, preparing these visual expositions, or when you are also making these books, who is your audience? Is it the Indian diaspora community itself, or you are able to also engage with the local, since you are based in France, local French people, or it's a mixed bag, or because I do not know whether the approach would be the same, or there would be some divergence of approach as far as the audience is concerned.
So, as far as audience is concerned, one thing that we understood after coming to Europe is that Indian diaspora in France, especially in Europe, they're mostly coming there for their studies or being expats. So they're not people who are living there for many generations. And what we see is Indians as such, when it comes to traditional music and dance, it's very disheartening but true that they're not that inclined towards the traditional music and dance. So we are making our audience come from diverse backgrounds. All my students are from diverse backgrounds. I have an Azerbaijani, I have an Australian, I have a Taiwanese, I have a Chinese. So my students are diverse. They are from different backgrounds, different geographies, and they do learn online. And as well, my the audience who attend our events are mostly French and people from different nationalities. So what we strongly believe is to take this beyond Indians. So Indians definitely have to make an effort to promote more and more and to support Indian artists and art lovers as well, and to become connoisseurs of music. But at the same time, our audience is definitely very diverse, and the children's Carnatic series is also introduced in the conservatory. So the conservatory has also taken an initiative to take this book to different publishing house in France. So we are waiting for a reply, definitely, hopefully, expecting it to be a positive one. But yes, our audiences are from different backgrounds, and I think that is the aim of the book as well. Writing, publishing this in different languages, I think that is the aim. We want to take this beyond boundaries.
Yeah, thank you. I come back to Nupurji. It is generally said and it is believed now that yes, of course, the empire, the colonial empire, impacted our lives in a great way, but its engagement with the vast Indian culture and civilization for 200 years that impacted them back in many ways, as you were also trying to find. Make some discoveries related to the field of architecture. So I was just wondering whether these things have been in any way documented or projected, whether in the form of books or in the form of documentaries or films, or do you intend to do something along those lines?
Well, I'll share the first book that I wrote, Victor Horta and the Frison House, and it has been translated in 3 different languages, in French, Dutch, and English. And I would be delighted if we can find an edition also to do it in Hindi, because it documents and it gives a very statutory archives of how India influenced Europe in design and in architecture. And it goes even beyond that, because, for example, what we do in the foundation and also with various different museums who partner with us in cultural activities is try to present India not only in a classical platform, but also experiment, because the 19th century was very rich. It was sharing, you know, through the Silk Route, through the East India Company. There was a very, very massive influence that came from India, and then people interpreted in their own personal style, like Victor Horta did. So the idea is to do various experimentation also, and at the same time, tell the story of India. For example, with music, we invite musicians from all around the world. We have 2 musicians coming from Milan, and I presented them to the Rabindranath Sangeet. And they loved it so much, they have never heard it before, that they want to play Akla Cholore, and they want to play it with flute, with the harp, with the violin, inspired by the music that was influencing the 19th century, and creating with their technique and know-how an interpretation of Akla Cholore, which is beautiful. So, you know, we do not only influence from the past, but also try to create something which is interesting to the younger generation. I'll give you another example. My daughter, she's only 7 years old, but she's giving guided tour to her class and to various other schools of her age, and showing to them with her pair of eyes the influence of India on Maison Frison Horta. For example, the Winter Garden has fresque with Trishul in it. Now, trident is also a very strong symbol in the Greek and the Roman mythology. And Trishul is the arm of Lord Shiva. So, you know, there are so many symbols and there are so many colors and motives which are beautifully tapestried together with the influence of East and West. It becomes a living cultural laboratory. So there is endless ways to exchange, to explore. There's another example of gastronomy. I'm inviting my friend Hemant Oberoi from India and experiment with Ayurveda, with spices. And, you know, this has become the topic today for Europe, as Yuvraj was mentioning yoga. So it's not only yoga, it's also how you keep up with your well-being. The whole medicine of Ayurveda, how we can implement in seasonal cuisine, and how do we influence gastronomy, and how we can invite another chef from Paris like Alain Passad, and create together something in the foundation and present it to the public. So we do a lot of these, you know, experiments, which is not only influencing the Western society here, but also East in India as well. They also take influence from here. And that's why it becomes very rich exchange, because we are influencing each other.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting, I must say, and it's an almost an eye opener for all of us. And you know, both of you are doing a great job. You know, this jugalbandi of East and West, which is being made possible through icons like you. In this context, I would request our director, Mr. Malik, to provide his inputs and suggestions, and in what manner some kind of you know, institutional support and you know, recognition can be given, so that the work they are doing and many of the peers who would be doing such in such a very effective work of promoting and projecting the Indian value system.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vikram ji. I am glad to hear both my panelists and especially Nupur ji, the way in the last conversation, I would like to quote it again. I take my back to 1913 when Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore set up the university Shanti Niketan in 1921 in the backdrop of the World War. When the world was fighting the war, he was thinking of an institution of peace, Shanti Niketan, where peace
Yes.
resides. And 1913,
Yeah.
when he got the first Nobel, he was traveling all over Europe. After that one novel, the whole European intellectual society started flooding to a small town in Vardhaman in West Bengal. So that is the power of
Yes.
Indian content. That is the power of our value system. That is the power of our culture. As you said about Ravindra
Yes.
Sangeet, you go there, the way they maintain their value system. The point is, first of all, we as Indian have to take pride into our value. We have to become our
Yes.
own brand ambassador before we expect the foreigners, outsiders, non-cultural people to become our brand ambassador. You are my brand ambassador. I don't need big faces to lead the country. You are in Paris, you are in Belgium. You are representing nation in such a way, you are the brand ambassador. Idea is
Thank you. No.
these small dots, if you put them together, a new
Yeah.
canvas will come out. And that will be the canvas of the 21st century India, where Indians are making influence not only in the boundaries of the geographical domain, but also beyond the geographical domains. This is a new world,
Yes.
this is a technology world. And the new generation, I quoted about Vivekananda in Chicago, after 1893, now people are talking about India. You know how? Let me tell you. Till date, we used to believe that our education system is a rotten system. But today, with new education policy, one school of thought says that we have demacularized the education system. Macaulay is out. Indians are in. So if Macaulay
Yes.
is out, Takshila will be back.
Actually,
Yeah.
Nalanda will be back. Vallabi will be back. Vedas will be back. But
Yeah.
they are our foundations. Based on this
Yes.
foundation, we have to create a structure which is totally Indian
Yeah.
value based, but international in
Yeah.
outlook. We have to compete with the world.
Yes.
We have to work with a global citizen concept. We have to work with global values, global human being, Vishwamanav. These are the kind of doctrine Indian value system gives. That is why our culture, in spite of so many attacks all across the invaders, socially,
Yeah.
culturally, and physical assault, we sustained.
Yeah.
Our civilization
Yes.
prevailed. Our value system prevailed. It is only in India where people can claim that family system is existing. Who's responsible for it? Our culture,
culture.
our language. Anyone who has been thrown out from the world, India has accepted. What is this? Indian culture. All religion they have vanished, they survive in India. All language they vanished, they survive in India. All intolerance vanished, tolerance is in India. Idea is wherever we are, now we have to find people like Miss Nupur, Miss Bhavana, and put them on together at least by a virtual connect, virtual node, and they become the ambassador. And then we take together the message of the India, the rising India, the shining India, the emerging India, the resurgent India, the self-reliant India, the Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is not only in terms of economy, it is in terms of culture also.
Very
That
true.
our culture is not slave to somebody else for recognition. If you
No.
start
No.
going into
And I think
research,
it's so. Yeah. Yeah. And I totally share this point of view, Yuvraji, because we need to bring the pride in the youth of India. You know, we are so looking as a role model to the West. And I'm a living example because I left India a long time ago. But I think it's so important to embrace your value, as you're saying. And I think Indians who are outside India have a different perception of India than the major part who is in India. And I want to showcase that through these projects, through these collaborations with the Foundation Free Zone and various other institutes that I'm doing in my own humble capacity, is to show the pride of where we come from, our culture, our heritage. And it is
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
diverse, and that is our
So in the same
strength.
regard, if I may add, during the COVID situation, part of 2020 International Yoga Day, in order to promote peace and harmony, I come up with this the concept called Raga and Yoga, wherein Carnatic music is sung for yoga and the experience is sublime. The tranquility, the prowess of yoga combining with the melody of Raga brings a very peaceful emotion, and the experience is real. So this online event that we organized, promoting good health and harmony and peace through yoga and music, we saw we saw people coming from all the 6 continents and more than 29 countries join hands together. They recorded Surya Namaskara in front of iconic places across the globe to spread the message of peace and harmony and to promote good health. And I think Indian culture and the values has that power to bring that, bring Vasudeva Kutumbakam to prove the message that world is one family. And I think India is the powerhouse of talent and the powerhouse of message and that strong sense of belongingness and acceptance. So as part of this Raga Yoga 2020, definitely through the project, we were definitely able to prove that during a time of crisis, that the COVID crisis, our world was locked down, but people were ready to become ambassadors of peace and harmony to promote good health.
I will
Yeah.
add one more point to both the panelists. When we come, NBT has got presence all over the world, so we would like to connect more people like you, whom we can connect. Of course, there are many awards which India recognizes in terms of Pravasi Bharatiya Award, Emmy Awards, but we would like to identify the cultural icons wherever they are and connect them with our knowledge system, our publication industry, and we do participate in all the World Book Fair, all the places, and wherever these are, these will be our guests, and we'll try to integrate and take their things, and let's create an ecosystem where anyone who wants to contribute, want to give their expertise, we create a pool of experts who feel for the nation, fight for the nation, and do for the nation.
Yeah, no, and you can definitely count on the foundation. And during this pandemic crisis, the only institutions which were open were the museums. And it has been such an oxygen psychologically to people to come in to see. And me and my daughter giving guided tour to people, you cannot imagine what it does culturally, psychologically to a family, which is emotionally drained at this time. And to feed them with something like India, that I think really makes their day. And I'm most humbled to do that. And you can count on all our support.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to Vikramji.
Thank you. I think on this positive note, we can end the session. And, we of course look forward to have some kind of a more structured mechanism where we can relate with our Indian diaspora icons. I'm sure you would be also associated with some of these networks, and we will take inputs and suggestions from you as well, how to make that mechanism that we may try to advance and really it has been a fascinating discussion and very engaging and very insightful, I would say. And we are thankful to both our guests, Bhavana and Nupur, finding time to be with us during this virtual edition of New Delhi World Book Fair. And I would like to thank our director, Mr. Yuvraj Malik, for being with us and for sharing his inputs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so